Okay.
All right. So thank you everyone for having me. My name is Melissa Everett. I'm the Director of Finance for the City of Carrollton. What I do and oversee is I oversee accounting, budget, taxes, purchasing, anything financial for the city, financial reporting. That kind of all lives with me. I partner with our CFO, Diana Vaughn, and then we kind of oversee all the financial functions for our city. So how money comes in and goes out, all comes through our department. So I'm so excited to be here. This is our first time to ever do a partnership like this from a vendor management standpoint and getting our community much more involved in our business. This is the first of many. So thank you so much for having me. I really just want to give a really quick overview of what it's like to do business with us. I think what makes us a little bit different than maybe how you operate is we're governed by a lot of laws. And it is sometimes not easy to do business with us because we have rules that we have to follow. The purpose behind that is really just to make sure that we're spending the tax dollars that you pay as a business and as a resident of our community are used fairly. They're used to the best way that they can be used, and we get the most out of the investment that you've put into our community. So with that, I'll kind of get into some details, and I'll be open for questions at the end for you guys. So we are governed by law on how we procure, and that goes from what we can bid to how much we can spend without going to get a contract or going out for a bid. So this list of codes right here is kind of a good quick overview. And when we get done, we can send this out to everybody. And these are hyperlinked so you can refer back to them so that you understand and can read on them. But 252 is our major oversight of what we can do. And that's saying that we have to go out and quote anything that's over $3,000. And we have to go out and do a sealed bid for anything that's over $50,000. 271 allows us to use an interlocal agreement, which means if you've partnered with another city and we have an interlocal agreement with them, we can hook on to that. So it's not just the city of Carrollton that you can work with, it can be the city of Frisco, it can be the city of Irving. If you have a relationship with them already, we can sometimes take advantage of that partnership that you already have established with others. The government codes later on, these other ones are really related to construction. If you do any type of construction work, build a building, you build roads, these dictate some of those rules that we have to follow. There has to be a retainage, there has to be bonds, there's proper ways we have to pay. So these are just what tells us how we have to do it, including a sealed bid process. So what a sealed bid process is everyone gets all the same information. You put your bid in for how much it's going to cost you to do, and no matter what it is, we have to go in with the lowest price. So it's where it makes it competitive, and we get the best return on value, the best return on the investment for the community on stuff. So these are state codes, the state of Texas codes. We also, as a city, can require stricter codes that we have to follow. Our major one is that we start quoting at $2,000, not $3,000. So that's what we as a city implement. That's a little bit different. So these are the different procurement methods. I wanted to kind of split it up because our kind of trigger is $50,000 on the different ways that we have to go. So if it's under $50,000 as a city, we just have to get quotes for that item. So that means we're going to reach out to vendors that we know. We do a lot of research on Google. We look for, and we might Google t-shirt vendors, and we look for people that are in our community, businesses that are in our communities. And if we're going to spend $3,000 or $2,000 or more, we have to call at least 3 people to get a quote for how much it's going to cost us to do that. So we're going to make sure we're getting the best value. We're using the tax dollars the right way. That's really what it comes back down to. So we have to contact 3 people who we believe can provide that service, and then we have to make a decision, and we generally, 99% of the time, we go with the one that's the lowest price. If there's a reason why we've had a bad experience with the vendor in the past, we can always decide to go with someone that might be higher if we know that the product and the service we're going to get is a deciding factor for us. So for anything that's over $3,000, this is where the state law comes in. It requires that 2 of the vendors that we must use must be a historically underutilized business. You'll hear us say a hub vendor. So what a hub vendor is, and I'm going to say every single person in here, your business is going to be a hub vendor. You're a historically underutilized business, you're minority owners, your business will qualify as a hub vendor. So if you haven't yet registered as a hub vendor, I would highly recommend that you doing it. I have a link and I have a page for how you do that here in a little bit. But when we go out for those quotes, we have to find at least 2 vendors that are hub vendors whenever we're looking for them. So I think that's a great way that we're going to be able to partnership with you guys. And if we know you're there, we're there to call. We have to. So we also can use interlocal agreements or cooperative agreements. I'll get into this detail a little bit more. But anytime we use those, it can help surpass. Thank you. It can help us not have to go through all the legwork of having to get quotes or bids. So I'll go into that a little bit later on what those 2 things look like. So once you get to 50,000 and above, we're required to do a competitive bid. That's what Local Government Code 252 dictates to us. We do not have a choice unless we have a request. We do a request for proposal, and then we can also use interlocal agreements or cooperative agreements. So a request for proposal is a little bit different. We have a software, which I'll show you here in a little bit, and we say, we need this service, we need this thing. Tell us what you can provide to us, and you get to tell us all about your company. You get to tell us all about what you can provide, how quick it takes to get the items for us, all of those things, and those help us make decisions. So that's a complex thing, which I'll show you here in a minute. But that's another thing. We actually use it a lot for something as service. So that's maybe you're providing contract work for someone. You provide computer services or something, and it's more of a service base instead of a good or a tangible thing. But a sealed bid, which I'm going to kind of lead into this other piece down here at the bottom, we use that a lot for construction bids. So our engineering department, it's kind of outside of purchasing, but we're still tightly aligned on the rules that we have to follow. The engineering department constructs roads and buildings. If you do water lines, if that's something that your company does, we have to go out and we have to do those bids, and they come in sealed. That means we don't know anything about it until we open it up. And then we open them, we see who's the lowest price, and that's the person that gets the bid on that one. So there's no other decision point on it. It's lowest price gets it. So that sealed bid, they can be millions of dollars. We have some projects that are upwards towards $5 million around this time. They do require a bond, so you do have to have insurance coverage, and that's part of the requirements whenever you start registering as vendors for doing these larger projects. And then we also maintain a retainage. We're allowed to keep 5 or 10%, depending on what it is, as a retainage for the work that you do. And then once the job is completed, we pay that out in full. So that's just part of the laws that we have to follow as we progress. When I say we're covered by a lot of laws as a city, we have to follow a lot of laws as a city. So there are a few exemptions wherein we don't have to follow the procurement methods that we just follow, and these are some of those. So a public emergency, if there is something that's a disaster happening and we need to fix it right then, or a tornado came through and we need someone to cover up a damaged firehouse or something, we can call and just get that done quickly. The purchase of land, if we have to purchase land, we've done that in the past where we see a vision. Our council's done a really, really great job the last 20 years of going and buying a piece of property with this long-term vision. I think the TOD structure down here that's going in at Trinity Mills in the corner, that's a long-term vision where the city went in and bought some land and it's now coming to fruition. We do not have to go through the procurement to do that. If there are sole sourced items, we do not have to go through it. What a sole sourced item means is that you have a patent on your item that no one else has. You provide something that's completely different than anybody else. And you will have to provide documentation that says, nobody else provides what I provide you. So we do not have to go through procurement if that's something that we're looking for and we need and we can't find it anywhere else. Any type of utilities, so gas or water, if that's the only thing that we have, then we don't have to go through that. So for us, we buy our water from the city of Dallas, and that's how you get water to your business or your home. We don't go out looking for a water provider because there's just not any. It's Dallas, the city of Dallas, and that's who that is. Legal notices, we have a lot of requirements. We are required to post every bid that we have, RFP that we have. You will find them in the Dallas Morning News along with our website. But the Dallas Morning News is who our legal department has told us is our community newspaper as defined by the state law. So that's where you will find all of our legal posts. They usually run on Sunday afternoons. And then any type of professional service, there's a very strict definition of what is a professional service. The three primary ones that affect most people are engineering, accounting, and legal services. So that's just the rule that they've defined for us. So how to become a vendor with us? So first I wanted to talk through how to become a hub vendor for you guys. We, the city, do not determine if you're a hub vendor. The state of Texas determines if you're a hub vendor. So that is handled through the comptroller's office. So this is a picture of their website, and whenever they send this out, these are hyperlinked for you so that you can easily find it, but you go in and you register. There's this application. Does this have a button right there? That has an application that you'll fill out and you'll submit it to the state of Texas. So then when we go in and we're looking for our hub vendors, and you become part of this database. So then when we go look for a specific commodity that we're trying to bid, your business then is returned to us, and we know we reach out to you to then get the quotes from that historically underutilized business. So that's kind of how that works. But going and getting registered here is a key part of that, because then you become one of those. 2 of 3 quotes have to be from one of those hub vendors. So the next is our bids and RFPs. So on our City of Carrollton site, you will find a list outside of construction. Construction has a different page, but this one is just to everything other than engineering bids, where you will see every single bid, RFP that's open through us. We use a software called IonWave, which I'll show you a snippet shot here in a little bit. But this will have every list of things that we have or that we need services on that's over $50,000 for the life of a contract that we need someone to bid on. And we always look for competitive bids. Our council likes to see that we're getting multiple bids on something, and we're actually getting good value for our dollar, and they approve these purchases whenever we go through. So that's on our website. And then whenever you submit your bid, you use this process. It's linked through us. It's called IonWave. Something that's cool about IonWave, there's many cities across the entity that use IonWave. So you can register and not just get ours. You can get registered through ours, but we share vendor databases across different cities. So when you get into that database and then a new city comes on and they buy the vendor database, they're going to get your business and what commodities you registered for. So you'll register with this on IonWave, and then you tell us what you do. And you say, I provide this, I provide promotional materials, I provide t-shirts, and anytime we need to do a bid and we send out that bid, you'll get notified of it. And then we generally have about 2 weeks for you to develop your proposals and then submit them back. And then we're able to get that information in and make decisions for us. So there's that piece. The next piece I really wanted to talk about is cooperative agreements. So this is something that you as a business owner can also join. When we use a cooperative agreement, you have entered into an agreement with these groups saying, I'm going to honor these prices for this type of thing. So if you're part of Omnia Partners and you say, I provide t-shirts and here's my cost for printing t-shirts, we don't have to go through that quote process anymore, because we see you through this, you've provided your best price through them and they said that's a good price, we can just hook to it. So we're able to say, okay, you use Omnia Partners, we don't have to quote, we don't have to bid, we're just going straight to you on stuff. So this is a list of the ones that we use as the city. This is our partners that we have joined in, and if you have a contract with any of those saying these are the services I provide for this amount, you can join. We can do business with you. Construction bids, they're handled outside of finance or they're housed in engineering. They are very technical and require an expertise. That's a little bit different than what we do in purchasing. They follow the same rules and the same laws, but they have their own website. They post their own bids. It looks very similar to the finance one, where you'll see all of the bids that we have out there that are open, their due dates, and what you're looking for. They followed the sealed bid process, where it is lowest value gets the bid. I'm going to say 99% of the time. So, additional information. So in November, we're working with Robert and your group here. We're going to host a vendor registration event where we can walk you through how to register on Ion Wave and become a vendor with us. That's something that we'll host here. We don't have the date set firm. We don't have the time yet set in stone, but we're going to work on that. We'll be sending out information through your group on if you're interested in that piece. And then also a contact information, purchasing@cityofcarrollton.com. That goes out to our purchasing members. So if you ever have questions, please feel free to email them. I brought my card too, so I'll leave a stack here for you guys. But we're always happy to answer questions and create a partnership with you guys. It's something we're excited about. But yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I'm open for any questions that anyone might have. Not sure.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any translation unit that Koreans not familiar with? I mean, the kind of language issues.
So we do have a service that we can do that is a translation for, it's through the telephone where we're able to communicate with you. And then if there is specific language and we have translators in-house, we will always pull them in to translate for us.
So do you use language bank, or you have an in-house?
Both, yep. If we have some,
how much do you purchasing annually?
Well, it depends on the commodity. I can tell you our budget for operating expenses between personnel and things that we buy, our operating budget is around $300 million. And then our capital investment program is $120 million. So we have, I mean, there's a lot. So I would say probably 50% of that $300 million is personal salaries. So I'm going to say $150 million on an operating expense annually.
Do you have any R&D product, service product contract out?
Research and development?
Yeah.
I mean, we're more tangible in our operations. We have specific services that we provide, but yeah.
Does the minority have any advantage to bidding on?
Well, the hub vendor, because we're required to go to two of our three vendors have to be minority vendors that we get quotes from. That's your advantage, is we have to come to, out of the three, two of them have to be for minority business owners.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
In your professional services, I didn't see anything related to management, consulting, or training, professional development. Where does that come into the picture?
So if you have a partnership with any of those local ones, we have a training department, and they have, we all look for consultants sometimes to look for stuff. We go out and we look for people. We have to quote a process. We quote it, or we look for you to be on that cooperative agreement.
So it has to be a true cooperative.
A cooperative, or we have to quote it. If we can't find someone that does what we need on a cooperative, we have to quote out the service that we need from a training development or professional services.
The other question is, why lowest price? I mean, do you go and look at quality? Because lowest price could be shabby stuff.
We do. Up until this last legislature session, we were required to use lowest price.
And now?
And now they just changed it to where we're able to use references and past history with vendors to start making decisions. So that's why I say 99% of the time, because I think that 99 is probably going to start becoming 90. Price is a factor. We want to use our tax dollars the right way. Our funds are very limited on what we can do. So we always look for the best value, but up until this last legislative session, our hands were tied.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you mentioned that you will get the
meat from the hog to hog, right?
Yes, sir.
But let's say you're looking for commodity A, and then when you go to hog, you see about 10 vendors. Okay? What's your criteria to choose what to send out notice for a couple of vendors? Are you going to send out everybody, or are you going to choose some of the vendors?
It's dependent on, one, for us, we always recommend to look local. We always like to try to keep our tax dollars, our business inside of the city of Carrollton. So that's something we do across the city. It's really a discretion of the person that's looking on the line to say, okay, I'm gonna call, if there's 5 people, they'll call 5 people. They only have to call 3. So that's a discretion for them on who they call. When we look at them, we generally also go look on Google and say, what's their review? Do they have, like, what's their recommendation before we're gonna call them? Do we know them? Have we done business with them before? Those are all things that they take into consideration. And I don't do the purchasing for the whole city. I manage and make sure that we're compliant with the law, but the Parks Department is responsible for parks. Public Works is responsible for public works. Police is responsible for police bids. So we oversee and just make sure that we're compliant with the law. But they are the ones, I encourage you to go make relationships with all of our departments and get involved in their different events that they have, and being involved in the, Robert, what's the thing that the police does? The Citizens Police Academy, because you get to see and the Citizens Fire Academy, you get to make those relationships with them and see what they need from their services. It's all different, and we don't do that bid for them. We host it for them and we coordinate it for them, but we don't make their decisions for them. So they make the decisions for themselves.
So department manager make the decision, not for the purchase manager.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not an expert in buying traffic signals. I do not know what they need. I know how much money they need, and I provide them the money, and I know the laws they have to follow. But I do not know what type of traffic signal they need to provide the traffic light outside. Yeah, I don't know. They do lawn care. They buy plants. I don't know what they're looking for in those things. I don't know what's a good plant. Our parks maintenance group knows what plants to buy to make sure that they last in a drought. So they make those decisions on what they need or what's the best value for them, and then we just make sure that we're following the law and providing those. So I highly encourage creating those relationships with departments.
The second question is, on your website, the information shown on the website is for the current bid, or can we see historical data?
I do not know that answer. I believe you can see history. And I do know we have to put on our website who won the bid. So you can see the amounts that are on there. I'm 90% sure on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. John?
Yes, sir.
Does double minority status exist, such as Asian women? And are those considered in select?
From my understanding, they are. But again, I do not control HUB. That is a state. That's a state side. From my understanding, yes. You are a minority from my understanding.
I'll add to it. They look minority, but the process that you have to go through is very, very cumbersome. And to specify woman and Asian, they don't have that. You do one or the other. I just gave it up. Because I'm a minority, and I told people, you can look at me, and you can look at my records. I don't want to go through all those 6-7 months.
Okay,
and all the documents.
if you don't mind, we can go to the next question sheet out of time, so anybody has a questions?
Let me have one last one. Is any residency of the bidder is important? It has to be a Texas, or it has to be the guy from New York, a guy from overseas, the qualified to bidding?
We usually try to keep our bids in the States. In the United States, we prefer a Texas vendor. We even prefer a Carrollton. I mean, we always want to keep our tax dollars local, but we do have bids from people all over the country. Not everybody provides a service that's here, and we have people, especially on the construction side, that come from different places.
So it could be outside of Texas.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would say those are very small in number, but yes.
Do you have your business card?
Yes, sir. I have a stack right here. There you go. There you go. Oh, thank you. I'll leave a stack up here for you guys, and y'all just take them, and y'all feel free to reach out.
I'll sell this for $5 for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any question? Anyone?
Do I get some of the revenue?
Okay.
So, thank you. Bye. Thank you, everybody.